Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was going to say, I am getting up there in age, I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people, life was never this good. I had to step back, knowing that it's...
More jobs doesn't necessarily mean more money. There are people working 2, 3, 4 jobs. And would say because they work a lot of jobs that they make a lot more money. To me, I don't believe that to be the case. I believe the more skills you have, the more education you have, the more experience you have in a specific industry means more money in terms of the workforce. Now, we talk a lot about investing on the channel, but sometimes you really have to just think about the skills that you need to survive in this world. With massive layoffs coming from all over the place, Tesla cutting jobs in Chicago and Florida and in other places, we're seeing that, you know, people are expendable. People who don't have the set of skills needed in order to function, in order to be productive members of a company or corporation, are going to be let go. And so if you are not producing where the company expects you to produce, or if your skill set is simply just not needed, you'll be let go. We're looking at Google protesting that Google is doing business with a country that is at war with another country, and about 28 people got let go. I'm not sure if it was Iran, so I didn't want to misquote the country that Google did a $1 billion contract with. But I say all that to say, like, I'm not really here to get into the politics of it all, but what I will say is that if you are expendable, if your set of skills is not necessary in order for that business to function, then you will be let go. I believe that businesses do pay according to the asset that you are to the business. And so not everybody can do every job, right? That's why there's tests in place to ensure that the adequate people get to the right positions, whether it's a firefighter, whether it's a police officer, whether it's any really government job. Even if you want to do 911 calls, you have to take tests. You have to be able to understand what button to press during an emergency, and you have to be able to do it at almost lightning speeds, right? And so not everyone is qualified to be a 911 dispatcher. And so some people think that these jobs are just effortless, and you come to find out that they're really not. There's a lot of high turnover in certain industries, and there's a lot of industries that are very lucrative in terms of the money, but it's because a lot of people can't really do the jobs needed in order to be in those industries. And so if you want to be a part of those people making the majority of the money, you have to understand the skills necessary in order to get there. And you have to hone those skills so that you can be an asset and not a liability. So if you're working 2, 3, 4 jobs, it's because those jobs don't require the skills necessary in order for you to be successful at one job and make a whole lot of money. So what would I personally say? I would say if you're working more than 2 jobs, then you should probably reevaluate what you're doing and how you're doing it. So for example, if you're working 2 jobs and this requires 7 days of your effort, 8-hour days at the very minimum, 7 days a week of your effort, then that should be the max that you're doing. If you're working 3 jobs, most likely you're putting in 11 to 12 hours a day over 6 to 7 days, then you need to reevaluate where you're at and where you're trying to go. Now, the only caveat to this is if you're working 3 jobs in order to do something specific, not necessarily just get out of debt, but maybe to go back to school, or maybe to fund a specific investment within a 12-month period. This is not something that you want to be doing for a long period of time to where you're working 3 jobs. And if you're working more than 3 jobs, again, you want to limit it to a certain period of time to where you can either go back to school, save money in order to do so, or start a trade or a business, whatever it is, so that you can get out from under. This is not something that is permanent and has you permanently fixed, but this is something that is temporary so that you can achieve what you want to achieve. We have to think bigger. We have to think to what our minds will allow us to accomplish and allow us to do. If you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be a billionaire, it's all about where you are headed and where you believe you can head. This is the path that your mind will shift and where it will take you to, right? I remember when I used to think big, it was to make $96,000 a year. Now with my investments and my W-2 job, I make well over that. And I never set a secondary goal after I achieved $96,000 a year. So where do you go from there, right? I was contemplating with myself, I was always praying that I would get to 96K. I don't know why I stuck on that number, but now that I'm there, I'm like, is it greedy to ask for more? Those are the questions that I'm asking myself. And those are the battles that I'm kind of fighting with myself now. Because if I say 96K and I've gotten it, and now you add inflation to it, now you're thinking, okay, maybe 300K or 400K. Is that being too greedy? Those are the questions that I'm asking myself now. But again, the moral of the story is set a goal for yourself to where you understand where you want to be, what you want to make. I never really set a time frame or a timeline. I knew that prior to about 35 years of age, I wanted to get there. I'm 26 now and I'm already there. So I knew by like 36, 35, I wanted to get there, but I never really set a specific time frame. I think sometimes it is good to set a time frame on yourself, as long as you don't pressurize yourself too much, right? I had a goal. I was fixated on that goal, but I didn't necessarily feel too much pressure. The only time I really ever felt pressure was when I was buying a property. And the reason for that was the first time I bought a property, I really didn't like my job. I was working at Tim Hortons and I was a general manager. And so I was required to almost work the worst 2 weeks that I worked at Tim Hortons, I worked 2 weeks straight with no breaks. So I worked 14 days straight. So that just goes to show you how many days off I really got. I really didn't get many days off. I believe in the first 5 to 6 months, I probably only had within a week, 3 full days off. And what I mean by that is like a day off where I didn't have to go into the store. So over a 5-month period of time, I probably only had 3 full days where I actually didn't go into the store to do something, whether it's open up the store for a manager, whether it's to check the money, count the money, whether it's to set up shop before I leave, whether it's to make donuts because the baker didn't show up. Whatever the case may be, I probably only had 3 full days where I could do that. So when I was buying that property, I was also looking at leaving the job. And so that was very stressful. That was one of the most stressful times for me, probably the most stressful time for me in my investment journey. After that, everything else was secondary. And imagine, I was working 2 jobs before I got to Amazon. So that wasn't really stressful at all. And I was working at Blaze Pizza as a manager after I left those 2 jobs before getting to Amazon. So I know I kind of flip-flopped there. So I worked 2 jobs, which was White Castle and Pizza Hut, fresh out of college. Then I got to Blaze Pizza, and then I got to Amazon, all within like a 5-month span. Again, fresh out of college, moving back to New York, waiting for opportunity to branch out. And then from there, I kind of only really worked 1 job, with the exception of when Chase Bank was hiring me to be a mortgage loan advisor. And you all know me, I'm amazing with finance. So with all the online training, doing it from home, it was so easy for me to keep my job as a GM because I was already finished with all my work at Chase. And so those who needed the extra time to study and ramp up, they could only focus on Chase, where I was actually making 2 incomes as a general manager for a restaurant. I won't say what restaurant that was. So that was a good time in my life where I didn't necessarily want to be making two incomes. I was actually going to quit my job as a GM, but the owner was a mom and pop owner, and the son was now running the store. His name is Ryan, and Ryan was a good guy to me, so I stayed longer than I would have because I wanted to give Ryan the time to find the right people for the job. And so while I was working as a GM for Ryan's store, I was also working at Chase, not by intention and not by design. I'm not sure how much, well, I do know how much money I was making. It was literally covering all of my expenses being a GM there. And then with Chase Bank, it kind of just allowed me to settle in a lot easier. But I didn't need the extra money at that time. I was really just doing a favor. So sometimes when people are good to you, you're good to them, and that will require you to do more and offer more of yourself for them. But long story short, do not glorify working 3-4 jobs. 2 jobs is okay, but again, you want to look for one job that provides you everything you need so that you can invest, save, and build for your future, whether that's starting a business, whether that's just investing more into your 401k, Roth IRA, whatever the case may be. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.